Welcome to Gifted Underachievers, the podcast for mid-level creatives with delusional ambitions. In this segment, James's pitches aren't making the cut at his favorite ghostwriting agency. Why? What should he do? Pat has some good insights, and the two discuss what happens when things take a turn and we have to adjust. So I've been now pitching for books, and I've not been making the cut, which has been really frustrating and a little scary.
How's that going?
Well, one of the reasons I was checking my email while I was gone was because I was waiting to find out if I was going to make the cut for a big pitch, and I didn't. But it's like all things being equal, right? So I'm as good a writer, say, as the other 20 people.
Yeah.
So what is the defining thing that meant that the 8 people who make the cut, what was it about their pitch that for whatever reason, resonated. And that's what you don't know. That's the black box, right?
Yeah.
But, say if 30 people pitch, 20 of them are actually good enough writers to carry it off well. What is that next level of distinguishing factor that's going to set it apart?
And I have a theory about that. I don't think it's anything new, but because we did talk about this a couple of weeks ago, and there had been a change in who was receiving the pitches, right? Who was evaluating them.
Yeah.
So, and I just heard from the Stockholm International Writers Fest that so I submitted the first 5 pages of 2 novels to see if I could get free tuition in a hotel room in Stockholm in August, and I got a no on both, and they said, I kind of liked their no because they said 1,093 people submitted pages. And it's not a huge conference. Know that it's incredibly subjective, and like a couple of other things, like it's not about the value of your work. So, don't take it to mean that if you got a no. And that was just their form email to everybody who got a no. And my experience, I submitted another thing, a piece I wrote about the 3-day novel to this magazine called Geist. It's
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. Anyway, one of the founders of Geist actually was one of the founders of the 3-day novel contest back in 1977. So I thought it had a chance, and I'll be really interested in how I feel if I get a no from Geist, which is likely, and it'll take 6 months to find out. Because I do think half of the battle is way more than I realized, is finding the right person to submit to. It's like I knew it mattered to hit their wants, their manuscript wish list stuff on their website. Like, definitely don't pitch somebody with a middle grade novel if they don't rep middle grade. But the other part of that is read their stuff, like read what they're buying, because it is so subjective that you'd spend more time on the back end reading books that they've represented, but you'd also have a much more targeted hit list. And I would be curious about what your chances are of getting representation doing it that way, which I guess everybody does kind of do it that way, but not to the degree I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Yeah, so getting an agent, I have these different things that I do that for whatever reason work. And it's fun. It's funny, sometimes I get into real wrestling matches with businessy types because they're like, "Why are you doing this?"
Yeah.
It's like, so you have to explain it. But for whatever reason that works. And
Yeah.
so I'm using things that I know will work on the client, but they're not working on the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting sort of, and there's a translation to like sending to certain literary journals and magazines where the gatekeeper is some young intern surfing through the slush pile.
Yeah.
So you've got to write something that gets past them, but also resonates with the person who ultimately makes the decision. So like, I know I've sent off really good pitches to the different clients that would resonate with them if they read them.
If they
But
got that far.
Yeah, but the gate. So I kind of feel like I'm too focused on the client and not enough on the gatekeeper.
Yeah. Well, there's so many different possibilities. Like that could be one. It could be that, I don't know how many agencies there are for ghostwriters, but it could be that that gatekeeper already has a stable of people that they like. And,
Mhm.
although books take a while, so they would have to have a pretty big stable for you not to hit the cut
Yeah.
on three in a row or whatever it's been. Um, it's such a it's such a universal feeling for I think for any self-employed person, even if you run like a store,
Mhm.
a pet store or something, but a store is your income, your numbers, you know if you can leave. With our industry, if you're not constantly getting work, particular for me, because my
Yeah.
turnaround time is quite fast, if you're not constantly getting work, then your income will drop 2 months from now, and you know it.
Thanks for listening to Gifted Underachievers, the podcast for mid-level creatives with delusional ambitions. We'd love to hear how we're doing, so please leave a comment, join our chat page, or send us an email at giftedunderachievers@substack.com. Have an awesome day.